Bienvenidos, everyone. We are here live on the Mob Podcast. However, we don't even know what day it is. It's November 9th, Tuesday the 9th. By my count, the Warriors are 8-1.
Yep.
Ugh.
Bro, 9-1. Get it right.
9-1, bro. 9-1.
See, this is what I'm talking about. That's why I need
9-1.
someone else to host. I got nothing, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I got nothing. Absolutely zero
Okay.
tonight. Except for that Steph went off for 50 and 10 yesterday.
But you're stupid.
Anyone want to comment about that? No, we'll start over here in a second. But it is a group thing. So besides me saying bienvenidos a los Mob Podcasts, where do we go from there?
Well, why don't we talk about how the hot start that the Warriors have been off to? I mean, I think it's been a minute since we did a podcast, and I think the Warriors were like 2-0 at that point or something, and now they're 9-1, and it's just kind of ridiculous because this bench is what's carrying the team. Bielisa, Gary Payton II, the mitten, the young glove. And
most of the time, Gus, I'm gonna call you out, and most of the time I take your basketball takes as gospel. But I believe you said the 15th man wouldn't matter. And I believe Gary Payton has done something.
He's
the
like
15th man.
He's kind of like the new JaVale McGee. Like he's a crowd pleaser now. Like as soon as he comes off the bench, it's game over.
Favorite.
Do you think his dad got him in the backyard and just taught him defensive stance and like how to swat the ball, how to get the ball out of there?
So
I mean, defense is harder to teach, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was.
Gus, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I read that article today about
No, go ahead, Josh.
About his defense.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, speak on it.
Well, it's just like Gary Payton, the father, never really preached about defense to his son. Never really preached it. It just kind of became what it is. And Gary Payton II, GP2, just kind of brought it upon himself. He realized that he wasn't the best offensive player, but he realized that great defense leads to great offense. And because when you have great defense, it can lead to breakaways, it can lead to an easy assist down the court. And it's translated really well the last 6-7 games.
Yeah, I agree, man. Effort is never going to hurt. And I almost wonder if it was like a tactical move from the start with Warriors cutting him originally and then re-signing him. I mean, what better way to put some fire in someone than saying you don't have a job and then like, all right, you want this job back? Well, you're going to show out. And obviously he came correct. So yeah, very impressive. And his dunks, I think he's good for like at least one just nasty dunk that just sets everyone off. And yeah, 9-1, and we just seem to have that. Rarely do teams seem to show perfect team chemistry this early in the season, especially with so many new players. But Woza, you watched the game like last night, and you're just like, yo, like they're just like a wave flowing together as one.
It looks like they've been playing together forever. I mean, this might be a better bench than the Barbosa, the Holiday, the Maurice Spates, the David Lee, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple other key players. But hello, I mean, it's like you play to win the game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Young Glove is looking really good. Like you guys said, I'm kind of surprised no one claimed him. I don't know if they could have claimed him or after he was waived. So, I got it wrong. When we did the podcast, I think during our season preview, I said, who would you guys rather have in the 15th spot? Would you rather have Avery Bradley or Gary Payton? And I said Avery Bradley. Boy, I'll admit I was wrong, at least so far, because Avery Bradley obviously signed with the Lakers, played against the Warriors in the season opener, did some damage, but GP2 has really been looking good, fitting in really well. He's such an excellent backdoor cutter, so he's great at that. So the guys are finding him easy looks for dunks, playing solid defense, and so he's the new fan favorite, Young Glove. So keep it up, GP2.
Well, I mean, typically when the second team comes up and Curry sits down, it's like, okay, this game's gonna be a little boring. But now I find myself like looking for Gary. It's like, oh, is Gary on the floor? Is he on the floor? Because now I'm watching the whole game. I mean, I'm watching the whole game as it is, but like you're really paying attention even more when Curry comes off the bench, because when Curry comes off the bench, or when he's on the bench, it's like, yeah. But Gary's like, yeah.
I think
Fine.
one of the things that's, I think as a basketball thinker that I often make an error of is forgetting that players improve every year when coached properly and when they have the drive. So when we forecast seasons, looking at players, even if they were on the team last year, we knew everyone was feeling like Jordan Poole was going to make that step up just because he finished the season so strong last year. But for the rest of the guys, you don't really know. They very well, like Toscano Anderson could have looked the same as last year. Damian Lee could have looked the same as last year. All these guys could just been kind of like the same kind of input or output rather.
Yeah.
But they've all improved. Lee is shooting threes so confidently now, taking huge shots every game. I love it. Toscano Anderson looks like similar in terms of his energy, but looks so much more comfortable on the offensive end. Like whether it's an open shot, which he's not hesitating anymore on, whether it's moving the ball, whether it's getting a rebound on the defensive side and going. I think we really need to acknowledge how much improvement our role players have across the board, which obviously goes on their shoulders. And I know the Warriors also overhaul their coaching staff, like specifically the backup coaching staff.
Yeah.
And I know that plays a huge role in it as well, which is giving me a little bit extra hope that Wiseman is doing this same level of increase. The only difference there is that he was just injured so much, even in the off season. So, but I'm still hopeful that they can develop him the same that others have been.
Yeah, and we haven't even covered Otto Porter. We haven't even covered him because I think it was the last game or the game before that where he got 3 straight 3-pointers, and on his last 3-pointer he got a steal, passed the ball off, and then got the ball back and shot a 3-pointer, and the crowd went nuts. It's like
9 straight points in that second quarter to close the half strong.
It's like who can't shoot 3-pointers on a team? Iguodala? Question mark? I don't know. It seems like everybody could shoot a 3 on a team.
Come on, man. Even Kevon Looney?
Yeah, Kevon Looney. Exactly.
Guys, I agree with everything that's being said here. The only thing that, from a tactics standpoint, I don't agree with is Gus's facial hair.
Oh, come on.
Sorry.
Brian, jealousy is an ugly deodorant. Let me tell you, ugly cologne.
Freaking water.
I have not cracked up on this thing, but I was trying to keep a straight face.
Dude,
I would
explain
shave
the
it.
beard. Explain the stash.
All right, the stash. I'll be honest with you. I'll put it in the air for your Bay Area listeners. I am a Bay Area born and raised.
Oh no.
Giants fan until age 12, in which case, and then at that point, thanks to Salvador Perez, the first and the second,
Boy.
I was converted to the Los Angeles Dodgers. This was my Los Angeles Dodgers 2021 playoff mustache. I'm not going to say how long our postseason ran because we know it was longer than the Giants. I was there game 5.
Yeah, by 1 week.
Guys, I alluded to this last time. Gus, known him my whole life, loved the man, but growing up in the Bay Area was a Dodger fan, Dallas Cowboy fan.
Which I still don't understand, by the way.
Again, we'll have Salvador Perez Jr. as a guest on your show.
We got it.
He is the producer of Sesame Street in New York, and he put me on to the Dodgers and the Cowboys age 12, and I haven't looked back since. So he's changed the trajectory of my life. I'm no longer a Cowboy fan, but I rock with the Dodgers for sure.
Anyways, I want to get us back on track, clean it up, Gus. But I'm gonna park in my old Tom Green antics and throw you under the bus, and then directly go right back to you and say, does it appear as if a one Andre Iguodala still has hops out at the gym?
Yes, I would say watching Iguodala slam some oops, and then the classic
Got it. Now, what was he doing the other night? Angela is actually the one that pointed out to me against the Rockets. He kept pointing over at the Rockets bench after shots he'd make and stuff. Did you guys happen to see that?
I didn't catch that.
He was stone cold, like not even taunting. Just he'd make a shot and then he'd point at someone.
Hey,
I would love to. I have scoured the internet and not been able to find out what he was.
Sure.
I don't know if a guy was talking, but anyways, more to the point. Iggy coming in with some energy, some hops. You saw him dunk that one the other day and just look back at the guy.
Oh yeah.
Pass it to him. So it's like they're all feeding off each other's energy, and it's great because, like everyone's been saying, everyone's contributing. I mean, you can't say that one player isn't impacting the games positively. So it's exciting to see. And then, gosh, we've been saying it for weeks now, but get more guys to add into the fold, and the quality is only going to rise. So, Stephen, I think you also had it. You had it at the homestand. We'd go what? I think you said 8-0.
I think I said 8-0. They're 5-1 right now.
5-1, not bad.
Their home opener, or not the home opener, the first game of that homestand to Memphis, in overtime to Ja.
That was good.
But 2 more games at home, and hopefully we can go 7-1.
We should be 10-0.
We got to take this a little bit with a grain of salt, guys, because I know they're playing really well, but look at their schedule of play, right? I think the win percentage of the guys that they've played so far is like, in the 30 to 40% win percentage. So we're not playing any excellent teams yet, but it's still fun to watch for sure. But we'll see how we do.
Speaking of that, not to deviate from the Warriors, but I didn't quite notice because I was so intent on watching Steph and the guys. But Trae Young, I mean, not quietly, he had a nice game yesterday as well.
28 points.
First half, he did a lot, but second half we shut him down.
They shut him down.
Quiet.
Yeah, I think we played the boxing one.
Facts. I do agree that we had a light schedule, and honestly, I was walking into the Atlanta game feeling like, okay, this seems to be kind of like a reveal yourself type of game. I mean, the Hawks were in the Eastern Conference Finals. You don't fake that, and they returned their entire team. Like that team is the same Eastern Conference Finals team from last year.
Right.
And people just got reminded that we still have Steph, and Steph's level is next level.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been talked about a bunch across media outlets, but you have Trae Young, who clearly has modeled some of his game after Steph Curry, at the very least with the distance of shooting and usage rate and things like that. And so Steph is always the soft-spoken one, but he's gonna let his game know that like this is still my time.
His game is gonna do the talking, that's for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we showed out. We played the Eastern Conference Finals team, who I think that that series went 6. I mean, they were not far away from reaching the finals last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And we served them. Like we served them. We made that second half into just like a silly show of trying to get Steph 50 points.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, they're for some, and they've been doing this for the last 5-6 years. They are a third quarter team.
Third quarter.
It is something about that third quarter, and they just go off. I mean, I think it was against the Rockets. We were up by 5 at halftime, and then we just went on a tear and won by 41 points. Or sorry, we were up by 41 points. I don't know if we won by 41 points, but okay, what can't you do?
I think it's come to the point where now even other teams are thinking about that. They're coming out of halftime like, oh, okay, we know they're a third quarter team. And then once it starts, it's like they start to freak out.
Yeah.
And we feel that it's like it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Where they're getting nervous that we're on a third quarter run. We know it's coming. And before you know it, it's like a 30-point swing in the game. It's
like a psychological warfare against any opponent that play against the Warriors in the third quarter.
Yeah, the Warriors are playing small. I mean, you look at their lineup. I know Looney starts, but he's getting 15, 17 minutes a game on average, and so they're going with a small lineup for a majority of the game. So they're playing small ball. You got Bielitsa, Porter Jr., or Toscano kind of playing that center minutes. But Brian, you asked me to introduce the SMU or false segment.
Let's get after it. Explain it to everybody.
SMU, that's my nickname, Stephen Mew, SMU. First initial, last name together, SMU. So we got to, instead of true or false, I guess it's on ESPN. They do it. I forget who actually had it, but my cousin said you got to do a SMU or false segment. So we're gonna do a little SMU or false segment here, talking about the Dubs. Actually, have 2 things lined up, but we've kind of already alluded to it. But I want you guys to do a little SMU for true or false.
All right, cool.
All right, first question. We'll do a little round robin here.
Okay.
Jordan Poole's continued growth and play this season is the most important thing for the Dubs returning to being an elite NBA team. SMU or false? Kick it off, Mr. Gus.
I'm gonna say SMU.
There you go, bro. You got to say right. SMU.
SMU. I really appreciate that. It's Dutch.
You better not mention that again.
I will say SMU because, man, there are those nights, like the bare minimum is 15 a game, which is great. You know, like 15 to 17 for your second to third option, depending on if him and Wiggins are going off the night behind Curry. That's like the baseline. And then you know that like once every 3-4 games, he's dropping 30. And if you're getting that, like that is a legit second A score. And I think that without that, we would be crumbling when Steph is on the bench. So I'd say yes, that is definitely a SMU.
Brian?
Josh, why don't you go?
Okay, I'll go. I would definitely say smear as well, because like Gus said, I mean, Steph Curry had a couple of off nights by his standards, 20-point night, 18-point night, and those nights, Jordan Poole just like, all right, I'll take care of it. Don't worry, I got your back. Dropping 31, 30, 28. He's dropping a bunch of 3-pointers with so much confidence. And so I think, yeah, it's definitely a smooth thing, because and we don't even have Klay Thompson back, and we're 9-1. So I think when Klay Thompson comes back, we're definitely not going to, I don't think they're going to start him right away. He's probably going to kind of come off the bench, work out the minutes, pitch count per se. And then when he's ready to go, Jordan Poole will be the glorified 6-man. And I think, now I don't want to, jinx it or anything, but I think he is in a contention for the 6-man a year award if Jordan Poole keeps playing like this.
If he moves to the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Klay is going to be sitting back-to-back games. Like,
Exactly.
He's going to be so minimal, especially that first like month and a half back.
I totally agree.
Steven, the tail end of the question was to raise them to what? To the
To
championship
being
level?
basically, yeah, to an elite NBA team or championship.
So while I respect my colleagues and their pristine opinions, I'm going to disagree and say false.
Really?
Yeah. And here's why. However, no.
Wow, Stephen A is coming out.
It's gonna be that last part about return to championship form, and I'm gonna take the very obvious. You guys have already touched on it. It's the Klay Thompson factor, and I'm more interested if he's not the one scoring the 15 minimum to 30. His presence on the floor, just spreading it out. I mean, could you imagine a lineup where even it could be like all three of them? Steph's on the floor, Poole's on the floor, Klay Thompson on the floor.
Right.
How would you guard that when they're all spread out? Then whoever at the 4 and 5. And idealistically, this is like an idealistic thing to say, but I'm hoping Klay comes back and just is that guy in the starting lineup, basically like for like, essentially replaces Poole, and Poole does what he does off the bench. So while I somewhat agree with you guys, I'm going to say that's not schmoo.
Schmoo.
Yeah, all right.
That's what I said.
I'll go 2-2 on this one. I mean, I think Jordan Poole, his growth is huge for this team, but I think for us to be that elite NBA team, get back to the championship level, I do think Klay's return and actually being able to defend bigs is going to be a challenge still. Like, I know we got a small lineup, but when we're playing guys like Durant, Jokic, like just some big bruiser, it's just some big guys. Like, I know we got some good individual defenders, but can we defend down low? I think it remains to be seen, but hopefully when Wiseman returns, we'll see what he can do defensively. And then obviously I think just with Klay's return, I think his return will really determine how far we go in the playoffs and hopefully, make a deep run, because he just adds that two-way game that we need. And I think it'll be Curry, Poole, Thompson, Iggy, and Green down the stretch for a lot of these games. So I'm a little bit worried when we play against some taller guys and how our rebounding will be. But I mean, I can go either way. I can go SMU on this one. I can go false. But thanks so much for playing SMU or false, guys.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, let's springboard off of that, because you mentioned him. I've been thinking about this a little bit, actually. When Wiseman comes back, is he going to be like kind of protected? And I mean this in the sense of, is he going to be like not played that much and somewhat to like not have him Well, mainly because I think he might not fit exactly with the style we're playing right now.
Mhm.
What do you guys think on that? Not to stir any trouble here.
I think they'll bring in Wiseman. I mean, they're taking a sweet time with him, and as they should. I mean, we're in no rush for him to come back right now. We're 9-1. He's still essentially a rookie. He did not have an off season in his rookie year. Didn't really have an off season this year. So I think they're just gonna play him in nice and slow, and I think they're gonna kind of take that Giannis out of the Kupo route when he first came into the league, because it was a slow process for him.
He was a
And now-
superstar overnight, yeah.
Right, exactly. You cannot be a superstar overnight. And so, I mean, guess how long did it take him to really be to be Giannis out of the Kupo? Like 3-4 years?
I think you're right on it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And what about stylistically, Gus? What do you think about Wiseman coming in the fit?
I think Kerr plays guys who are going to contribute effectively. And I think that's like the most like honest answer. If Wiseman is showing in practice and in the minutes that he does get, that he knows where to be, he'll keep playing. And like other guys may lose minutes, like maybe it's less Bielitsa, maybe it's less Porter, maybe a little less JTA, maybe a little less Looney, like a minute here and there, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's about performance. Like the team is so polished now that, like, for example, even when you see like Kuminga and Moody get a couple minutes, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Those guys look like they have no idea what's happening on the court right now, you
Right.
know, and like no diss to them. That's just what it is, like where they're at. And so same thing with Wiseman. If he's on that court and it's just like, wait, what's going on? If we can see that, the 10 coaches on the bench can see that, and he's going to be doing it. So he'll show.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have to pay attention to, guys, is how does the ball move when Wiseman's in the game? When he comes back, like, do we still have that free flowing offense, ball movement? Because we know how he played with Curry last year wasn't the best. So, but I'm excited to see him out there. Like, hopefully he's improved a lot. But it'll be really cool to see him back on the floor and what he can bring, not only defensively but hopefully just offensively as well. But looking forward to his return as well, whenever that will be.
Yeah, I totally agree. And and the fact that we haven't really touched on Curry yet, and like, I don't know if this is me, but does Curry look like he's playing like he's 5 years younger now? Like,
Dude, it's the haircut.
It's the haircut. I'm telling you.
Oldest player to score a 50 and 10.
In his tennis, I know. And
Come
so,
on.
he looks so much like he's got so much spring in his step. He's rebounding. He's rebounding. And now
he's averaging what, like 6.5 rebounds a game, and that's top, I think, like 5 or 8 amongst guards.
Right. Yeah, and which is so ridiculous. And so I think I don't know how he looks. I mean, he's aging backwards like Tom Brady, and so that guy never ceased to amaze. And then Draymond, he looked so much better too this year. Like, from the offensive standpoint, like he looked like he's driving to the basket even harder now, which I appreciate. And it shows we're 9-1 because of that.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot to be said for consistency in role players. Like, for example, if I was going to have 3 players and they were all going to average 7 points a game, I would actually rather have them have like 10 nights in a row of scoring exactly 7 than going like 2, 2, 2, 21, 3, 3, 3. And I feel like Oubre was that. Oubre was like, once every 45 days, I'm going to drop 30 and make you go, wow. And then 44 days later, I'm going to give you 6, 7, 4, 8. And all you want is consistency. Porter's consistent, Bielitsa consistent, JTA consistent. Like, the coaches know exactly what they're going to get, and that makes their life so much easier.
Yeah,
that trust.
Yeah, when you have a couple guys that can score double digits off the bench, like whether it's Bielitsa, Porter, Lee, Toscano, Anderson, like as long as you can have a couple guys that can score double digits, to have that consistency, because that's what they lacked last year, was consistent scores off the bench. So again, it might be somewhat different each night who's scoring double digits, but at least hopefully 2 of those 4 or 5 main subs are really scoring off the bench, and that again eases Curry's load when he's on the bench. So
and speaking of Kelly Oubre, can I just say how sweet that was for Gary Payton to dunk on him and posterize him? Oh my, that was
Kelly said, "Oops, I shouldn't have jumped."
music to my ears. It was beautiful.
That's crazy. Yeah, that the Hornets game, going back a couple games, that was another game where I was excited to see because as a guard, I obviously, in hindsight, would have loved to have Melo instead of Wiseman. I know everyone said, well, we have enough guards, yada yada. I feel like the one thing that was never talked about was LaMelo off the bench as a rookie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why that was never explored as an option. Like, no one was saying he was going to come in and replace Curry or Clay.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, they saw something in Wiseman that they thought was better for their team. But golly, LaMelo is a certified stud.
Here's the thing. The thing. LeVar Ball would not have that. He would not want his son to come off the bench. Let's just say that.
Big ball, bro.
I think you'd rather have him on the Warriors and the Hornets, though.
Agreed. And I feel like if you think about it, LeVar has kind of disappeared from society over the last 2 years. Like, he played his role with Lonzo, that was the thing. But with LaMelo, ever since then, he's been gone. I mean, LaMelo has his own ego, which seems to be pretty big for a young man. Which I understand. But man, that guy is a freaking player.
He's better than his brother. He's better than his brother by far.
No, it's always the youngest. The youngest one always gets it all.
Well, Seth is the youngest, and he's a decent player.
Yeah.
Josh, we got to keep it clean because we might have to have Seth on the show. We might have to have Steph on the show. We're reaching out to people. We're trying to book people. Speaking of it, it is getting a little late. And Josh, I know you're gonna be out for a couple of weeks. So Gus, we may have to have you back on here as we break down some Warriors and hopefully
I'll be here for the next episode potentially. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, but I will be moving on 19th, so it's gonna take me a little time to get acclimated and get my equipment situated, but I'll be back.
We'll be back.
Yes.
And we'll be back next time. We're going to always bring the best we can, although tonight it got a little kooky. Sorry for that riff on your mustache, Gus.
He had it.
Anyways, with all that said, thank you. With all that said, there's just 2 more words we have to say before we head out, and that's
Bow, guys.
About.
Bow.